So before I get started, I want to just tell everybody out there who's still without power and keep praying. That's all we could do. We have no control over the situation. The electricity company has no control over the situation. There's nothing we could do but just try to stay warm for now. We did 4 nights with no lights. Today we finally got the lights back. I just want to go over and explain to you what I believe happened. And it's kind of crazy. Bear with me. I don't have any high-tech stuff with me at the moment, so I'm going to do the best job to explain to you. So within the next few days, or even the next past days, you've been hearing a lot of this that you've probably never heard about in your life. ERCOT. What is ERCOT? The Electricity Reliability Council of Texas. So the name says it all. Electricity reliability. Their job is to make sure that there's enough power in your home and everywhere in all Texas market. Now, let me put it to you this way. I'm not the best drawer. For example, ERCOT manages 75% of the entire grid in Texas. In the next few days, you're going to be hearing that Texas shouldn't be managing their own grid. There's nothing wrong with it. Texas is the highest producer of electricity in the country. So that is not what the problem is. The problem is that these guys didn't do their job. They didn't do their job. So what is ERCOT? All right, so let's just say, again, I'm not a major art, right? So let's just make sure that, this is Texas in my eyes. Austin, McAllen, El Paso, Houston. All right, so in the whole entire state of Texas, 75% of it is covered by what you will be hearing within the next few days, called the grid. What is the grid? The grid is just the same thing. You know how there's expressways that connect everywhere to the larger cities? It's the same thing, but these wires, they connect to substations. Instead of connecting to cities, they're connecting to substations where the power is distributed to. ERCOT's job is to make sure that there's enough power everywhere at all times. Now, before I continue, I want to let you guys know, make sure you like and subscribe, because I will be having more videos coming up. So now you have the idea of how this runs, and if you have any questions or comments, put them down below. Let me continue. So what happened here with our grid? We're not connected to the rest of the United States. We're not connected to all the United States. There's the East Coast and the West Coast connection. It breaks off right down the middle, and Texas produces their own energy. They produce, again, the most energy in the entire country. So how did we fail? We failed right here. They had one job to do, to make sure that everybody had enough electricity. Now, how does that work? Again, if you have any ideas and if you say I think I'm wrong, go ahead and let me know below. So how does it work? There's a generation company. Oh, there's plenty of them. There's a lot of generation companies, like your windmills, the solar farms, your power plants. Generation companies sell the power. This is somewhat how it goes. They sell the power over to a wholesaler. The wholesaler buys it and sells it off to other companies in Texas. The bigger companies. I'm just gonna name a few of them. Reliant, TXU, CPL. There's hundreds of them. And from there, there's different areas. Reliant has mainly in Houston. There's CenterPoint. They're the ones who service your poles and wires. They're in charge of just your poles and wires. If there's a broken pole, there's a broken wire, they go and they handle that. They're the trucks that you see out there. TXU is Encore. And then let's say CPL, or any other company down in South Texas, that's AEP. They're the ones who handle that. These people here, their job is to just maintain and handle your poles and wires. That's their only job. If one of the poles falls, they go and pick it up. One of the wires tears, they go and they put it back together. So far where I live, there hasn't been any broken poles, any torn wires The whole reason why this blackout is caused is by a whole different thing. These companies here are in charge of one thing: sending you a bill. That's all they're in charge of. They're wholesalers. You know, think about it. Like if you go and you buy yourself a sack of grapefruits at 5 cents a grapefruit and you sell it for 7 cents a grapefruit, you know, that's where they get their profit. It's all business. So from these companies here, we, the users, or the homes, we get the power. So what happened here in this big picture? In this big picture, let me tell you exactly what happened, because this big name that's going to keep coming up, ERCOT, had one job. Just like everybody else down here had the job. ERCOT has one job. The generation people have one job: to generate enough power at whatever the wholesaler's requesting. The wholesaler has one job: to sell it to the companies that provide us energy. Sorry about that. Phone is ringing. So their job is to provide us the power. You know, so they provide the power, and these people's job again is to service poles and wires when they're down. Only their job is to make sure that we have electricity whenever the powers go out due to faulty wires. Now, big ERCOT and on the top of the pyramid has one job. What is ERCOT's job again? To make sure that the grid is flowing with enough electricity at all times. 75% of Texas is managed by ERCOT. The other 25% wasn't affected. You don't believe me? Google it. 25% of Texas was not affected whatsoever because they're not managed by ERCOT. So what do I think about it? We'll go back to it. Here's what happened. Big bad wolf ERCOT has one job. You know, they screwed up. They didn't tell the generator, okay, you know, we're foreseeing a few storms that are coming, winter storms that are coming, that may put our grid in a difficult situation. So what we need the generator to do 3 weeks before is very simple. What we need the generators to do is produce more energy. But 3 weeks, let's just say 3 weeks before, to have enough energy. Why didn't they do this? Because do you know what 3 weeks of energy would cost ERCOT? Well, not ERCOT, but the wholesaler. If ERCOT made the wrong decision and said, let's start doing this 3 weeks in advance. I need you to generate for the next 3 weeks in 1 week. You know, make it faster, speed up the process. I need you to generate all this before the winter storm comes. But ERCOT said, wait a minute. If this winter storm that's coming doesn't come as hard as we say it's coming, ERCOT might be in trouble, because they said, well, we need you to generate all this. So now the generator is stuck with the task of making all this happen, you know, generating all this power. But let's just say the storm didn't come, the wholesaler wouldn't be buying. So what happens at that point? This guy loses, and this guy comes back and tells this guy, you had the wrong forecast, ERCOT, you had the wrong forecast. So what happened here? ERCOT says, well, no, we're just gonna weather it out. I think we're gonna be all right, just because they think they're gonna be all right. But we weren't all right. We were not all right. To throw out 4 trash bags full of food, you know, 37 degrees inside the house. I wish I would have taken a picture of that. And we were not all right, just because these guys didn't want to play it safe. They didn't want to play it safe. They should have just played it safe. And because of them, millions of Americans, Texans, we suffered. Now, had ERCOT said generate that in advance and we'll take the loss. When I say we, I mean ERCOT. Let's say ERCOT says generate the power for the next 3 weeks regardless. ERCOT will take the loss. Even if the winter storm doesn't hit us, we would have never been through this. They were not thinking about the people. They were thinking about their profits. Had ERCOT said that, the generators would have came in and generated enough energy for the next 3 weeks. The wholesalers would have been ready to purchase at that point. And our companies would have gotten that right there, straight down to us with no fault. No American would have suffered what we suffered. All because of the big bad wolf. And again, if you want a further explanation, this isn't the best I could do at the moment. My studio is like a little messed up. I usually have my green screen, I have my 4K camera and a great microphone, which doesn't matter. I'm just trying to pass down the information to the people at this moment. And this is what I believe. This is what I know. Again, I'm actually an electricity broker since 2012, so I know a little bit. And this is what I think occurred. Again, I pray for everybody to stay warm somehow, and remember what caused all of this. I don't know what's going to happen after. I don't know what kind of votes are going to be occurring. I do believe that Texas should still maintain the power of their own grid, but I don't think that these people or whoever is in charge at the moment should. And if they are, I believe that they should have the penalty of buying electricity and having enough supply for at least a month out, and let them take the loss that we've taken. Because the loss that we've taken, if you multiply it at almost 3 million Americans with no electricity for 4 days, that's millions of kilowatts that they saved on. And they didn't have to pay for it. We had to pay for it by not having the electricity. And they rather us pay for it by not having the electricity than them have risked it and said we'll take the loss regardless of what happens. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. I hope y'all have a great day.